Hey, it's Kerbal. So I've been away from Kerbal for a couple of years. I came back, and they've implemented some amazing new features, which is a really pleasant change. I'm used to games implementing things I hate. Nope, these are great. So we're going to talk about them. If you're an old hand, you may not know these exist. If you're a new hand, you may not know how powerful they are. What we're going to do is we're going to send this little science probe here around the moon and get some science. But you may notice that there's something missing from this science probe. That's right. There's no dishes. We've only got this one short-range antenna. Should be fun. So first comes the launch. We're going to launch manually. Not really any other choice at this point. And basically, one of the first things that we learn when we're trying to launch things is the right trajectory. Like, you got to be 45 degrees over at 10 kilometers up, and so on and so forth. But the simple truth is that all you need is maneuver mode. This is what you need. Angles and stuff don't matter. What we want to do is get our apoapsis up and then have it stop going up. By which I mean we're going to want to turn sideways and focus as much of our energy sideways as possible. We don't want to wallow in the lower atmosphere, but we'd like our apoapsis to kind of hang in the 50,000s. So with this initial first boost, we got a lot of vertical speed. We're going to just bring our nose down, and that ought to allow us to start getting some horizontal speed and start to curtail our upwards motions. We don't want to get too much height. Our apoapsis should float not too high off the ground. So right now, I probably went a little bit low there, but that's fine. Right now we don't have any re-entry heating or anything like that. We're just kind of cruising around. You can see how fast our apoapsis is going up. It's going up wicked fast. So we're just going to keep nosing down. Now, one of the issues is that if you kind of crawl along at 40,000, you can end up spending a lot of effort there. But we're going to just bring down our setup there. So we are now hovering in the 50,000s, which is what we want. And we'll just let that continue. No hurry. Notice that I staged. One of the things that you had to do in the old approach was like constantly look at this and then move back here to stage and then move back here to look at this. We don't have to do that. Everything we need is right here. We're just going to continue on this vector until we hit maybe 75,000. 70,000 is the edge of the atmosphere. So this is a nice little setup. We don't need to worry about anything. We just do it. There we are. The reason we go to 75 is because there's going to be a little bit of slowdown due to us still being in the atmosphere. But now what we're doing is we're adding a maneuver node. So we're just going to bring ourselves up to a circular orbit using a maneuver node. So this is 79 and 74. That's good. And here's the flight computer. Hit exec. That just adds the maneuver nodes to the flight computer. That easy. We're also going to want to pop out our solar panels just because we don't want to run out of energy. So the great thing about this flight computer is that it continues to function even if you're disconnected, and that's going to be our secret. We're going to end up just doing everything using this flight computer. Obviously, I don't recommend that that be your only approach, but it is a nice approach. It works really well for this kind of mission. If you have intermittent connectivity, which is common, you can just pipe stuff to the flight computer while you're connected and then let it happen while you're not connected. It's wonderful. And it happens automatically. One downside is that for some reason, the system that keeps you focused on the blue dot, which is behind this, you can't really see it right now, is really finicky, and your ship will wobble quite a bit more than it will in other modes. I'm not sure why that is, but it means that it's difficult to use any kind of acceleration, physics acceleration. So now we are circularized, even though we're no longer connected to the base. It worked great. Now we're going to go around. We can't give our ship any new instructions until it reconnects with the Kerbal Space Center, so we might as well reconnect with the Kerbal Space Center. But we are going to go over to the moon. So that's our destination there. Destination moon. If we take a look at our ship, you can see we've only got 200 meters a second left on this stage. So we're going to want to ditch this stage. That's just going to be a necessity. you know, you might not like wasting fuel, but it's very, very challenging to get these stages to fire in the middle of a burn. And our next burn is going to be like 600 meters a second or something. So there we are. So let's get rid of it. Boom, it's gone. And now what we need is to set up our Mooner connection. And something like this, right? I think we're going to be a little bit too... There we are, like this. There we are, look at that. And you can see that our periapsis is 200,000, which is fine. So if we go over to the moon and take a closer look, you can see that we've got this sort of connection here. The only problem is this is not what it's going to be. This is a big fat burn, and it's going to be a little bit inaccurate. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a maneuver node, and then we're going to add another maneuver node, and this maneuver node is going to break. And then we're going to add a maneuver node, and then we're going to add a maneuver node. And you might be wondering why I'm adding all of these maneuver nodes, and it's going to become very, very obvious. So what we've done now is we've just gone through the moon, and we come back out the other side. I'm going to go ahead and add a maneuver node and block in our final circularization or reconnection burn. This should allow us to reconnect with KSC after we've gotten our science. And then we're going to add one more maneuver node just in case. So now the last thing we have to do is actually set up our science. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this maneuver node. So let's hit exec. And this maneuver node is in 1 day, 3 hours. If we look over here, there's our 1 day, 3 hour maneuver node. So let's bring that down. And you can see that that's filled in here. Why do we want that? Every command that we give to the ship is now going to be delayed by that much. So when we hit observe mystery goo, it happens right here rather than happening immediately. You can do staging with this. You can do whatever you want. So that's how you do it. You're going to want to make sure to bring this back down to 0 when you're done, because otherwise you'll get very annoyed later. And that should be it. This should be enough for it to do its job. Let's go ahead and get started. Return focus to your ship using tilde. A strange choice, but we get used to it. And you can see that there's like a beautiful patchwork that we've built. The question is whether or not that patchwork is going to actually execute as expected. And the answer is no, it's not. But it's going to be close. It's going to be close enough that we'll be able to make it work. We have no connection, and we're going to have no connection for the rest of the mission. But here's the thing. If you have no connection, you can't change the timing of anything, but you can change the volume, and that's going to be what we rely on. Also, keep in mind that we are being guided to point in the direction of our maneuver node burn. That's just something that happens 3 minutes before we actually start the burn. Make sure to let that alignment happen, because if you start the burn and you're not aligned properly, it's just going to be a mess, and you're going to get a really, really bad burn, like a hilariously bad burn. Let's see whether or not we can physics accelerate. If we start to wobble, we'll have to stop. Yeah, see how it's starting to wobble? That's no good. Immediately stop the physics acceleration if you see any wobbling. I know that it's annoying to wait through an unphysicsed burn, but if that's a problem, just polish your ship so that it doesn't wobble so much by changing which parts of your ship control the wobble. In this case, I didn't, and that's why it's pretty wobbly. Just gotta be patient, I suppose. A full minute of waiting here with me. Now, if we take a look, we've still got 3,600 meters per second of delta V. We could go to Mars, Duna, but we're not going to. This is going to be a moon trip. There we are. You might be wondering how close we got to our target. Let's find out. That's not too bad. You can see that the maneuver node that we had directly on top of the periapsis is no longer directly on top of the periapsis. Then you might be interested. You're going like, oh, let's just drag it back to the periapsis. Do not do that. You cannot change the timing of anything. All you can change is the amount. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring ourselves in so that we are nice and close to the moon. And we can do that by changing these. We're going to want to make it so that we are within 60,000, if at all possible. That's plenty. So once we hit that, we're going to end up getting to one of these other maneuver nodes, and I actually don't remember which of these is next. This one is next. So we can hit that one and do whatever it does. I think it's a circularization burn, but let's go ahead and just see what happens. You don't want to go to full acceleration. It is possible to punch past these if you're at max acceleration, at least when you're not in interstellar space. But nearly max is good. You can see that we're auto-aligning, as usual. 3 minutes before the burn, it tries to auto-align us. Wait for that auto-align to actually happen, and then you can time accelerate to the burn. Okay, so now we've got this maneuver node next. And if we just tweak it a little bit, we can see which is happening. It's this green one. So we want this green one to come in tighter than it currently is, right? Go ahead and bring it in like this. And then this maneuver node come out like this, I suppose? No, it's definitely... See, I've given us too many maneuver nodes here. Hold on. There we are. I was off by one. My bad. So, there we are. That brings us nice and close. And then here, with this guy, we can accelerate out into interstellar space. Return home. And then we can take this maneuver node and adjust it to bring us back out into something resembling a nice orbit. You can see how this is really ending up really tight. It's a ridiculously close burn. And we don't really want to be that close, but the problem isn't this burn. The problem is this burn. So if we bring this forward, there we are. You can see we can bring that in nice and tight. And I'm just adjusting these dials on the fly. I'm not in any hurry. I got plenty of time. I can't change when they happen, but I can change how aggressive they are. I just don't know whether or not we're going to be... Yeah, we are. We're going to have we're going to be nice and close when our science fires, and that was the goal. Let's go ahead and refocus on ourselves here. Oh, that was nice and good. All right, well, let's let this keep going. Oh, that's right. We got close to the moon. Close enough that I guess we probably wouldn't. We didn't actually. Oh, darn it. We slipped out. I should have timed it a little bit better. What we could have done is just done the science several times. I just got lazy. Because one of the things you can do is you can tell it to not keep the science. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and keep it because we don't have any other science. So just keep. But what I could have done is I could have had like one bound to all of the science and then just ditched whatever science I didn't want to keep and just hit one after every maneuver node. It's not that hard to set that up. But if you're doing it fully automated like this, you don't have to... It's challenging to do it fully automated, but you don't have to do it fully automated. You can do it partially automated. You can just have intermittent connectivity, which is very common. Here we go. It's aligned, so we can time accelerate. Oh, that wasn't too bad at all. So now we've got a situation where we are maneuvering into this nice close periapsis, and then this maneuver node here really doesn't accomplish anything, but basically we just want to make sure that we don't end up inside of the atmosphere. This is fine. There. Let's go ahead. Now, hopefully, we don't end up. Yeah, we're not close enough to have a bad burn. What we can do is we can burn in like this and just kind of shift everything. That'll be nice. We still have plenty of fuel, so no biggie. Oh, I think I just botched it. I accidentally time accelerated. In the instant it corrected. That's fine. As long as we don't end up inside the atmosphere. That would be a little bit of a disaster. Oh, it still worked out okay. As long as you got some backups, it's usually going to work out fine. Some backup maneuver nodes, because you can always just like seed a dozen maneuver nodes and then decide which ones you actually want to fire once you get to a location, which is similar to what we did, except for I set it up in advance. So the question is, when are we going to reconnect with KSC? And the answer is the next cycle. We're a little bit too far from it right now. There we go. A nice little circularization burn. We didn't actually circularize, but we had an extra parameter, so we might as well fill it with it. So just go around, and we should be able to reconnect. We're close enough that our small antenna should be able to find KSC, no problem. There it is. We're going to be nice and close. And that will be all we need to transmit our science home. Or to create new maneuver nodes if we want to like try and get it close to a rescue craft or something. Or I don't know, eject stuff. We could eject things and then have a parachute thing happen. Just review the data, hit transmit, and you're done. And that's how I came to love the maneuver node. It is a wonderful tool. I've always liked the maneuver node in terms of, you know, being able to tell what's going on and plan things out. But the ability to load it into a flight computer and then also chain it together with other events is incredibly nice. If it was more accurate, I would be happier. But even when it's not accurate, you can make up for it by simply seeding in a lot of empty maneuver nodes and then just using whichever ones happen to fit your needs. And this is the stuff that I like. This is how I like my games to be. I love the fact that this flight computer doesn't replace flying manually. It augments it. It allows you to do things that would have been really annoying otherwise. It extends the game for me, and that's just great. I just love it. The flight computer has a lot of other more advanced features. For example, you can change modes, and it's possible for you to switch over into other modes. So here's one for driving. I can't imagine that this works because driving is like, if you hit a bump, you die. And then here's one for coming in and out of sleep mode, which is great if for some reason your solar panels don't work. Not sure why you'd do this aside from a challenge to get through a mission without any solar panels. It's great. It's great. I love all of these features. They're all fantastic. Anyway, try Kerbal if this is your sort of game.